It seemed like it was just a few days ago on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Todd Pinkney, one of our P1s who came to our Seattle Kraken expansion draft watch party the other night, asks if Monty the Squirrel's going to use the Lawnmower 4.0 to trim his nuts. I was thinking more, how about that? But
How about that?
it's not an unreasonable question.
No, it is not.
Monty the Squirrel. Can we get that done up by the end of the show? And I'm in favor of your mom sewing the costume this time.
You are?
Yes.
Are you watching?
Paula?
She's probably watching.
What's going on back here? They're all laughing back there. Oh, I'd wonder. Oh.
Because then you paused. And I was like, this in favor of her? What?
I know. I heard them bust out laughing. I'm like, what are you?
And then you sewing the costume, and it's like, just disarmed me. I'm like, okay, we're good. She can sew the costume.
I'm in favor of your mom.
What? Say it. Say it.
Stay tuned, sit back, enjoy. Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Right now.
Realizing I watched a lot of television with the youngsters back in the day.
How about that?
I'll say it again. That cab driver in Bucharrillos, Mexico, when he said, Señor, your español es mucho bueno. Why is that? I said, Dora the Explorer. That's why I learned so much Spanish.
I got to brush up on my Spanish, though.
Yes, you do. ¿Cómo estás? Uno más, por favor.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Mi esposa e dinero. That's one I had to remember, too. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. Yeah. It's going to be a great one. I know I know I'm going to bring it. The Moose is going to bring it. The viewers, the audience, the listeners, they better bring it. And let's make it a great show. Hey, the Moose is here. Let's bring him in from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. That's where he's at. Hey, Moose. I got to tell you that some interesting things. I did not tell you this on the phone call earlier, nor any of our... on our meeting. None of our staff know this, and it had an interesting start to the day. Do you want to hear it? This almost sounds rehearsed, and it ain't. To be honest, Serena just reminded me of this. She came and knocked on the door here in a panic. She says, "What happened to the Jeep?" I was racing home, not speeding, but I was going down Wiles Way, and went over the tracks, kind of bumpy, and then I got to Dixie, and I'm waiting to turn, and there's this van, like a service van, right up my behind, right on me, you know. And I'm like, "What? Get back off, bub!"
Oh no!
And the turning arrow flashed, and I turned onto Dixie, and all of a sudden, this guy's coming like a madman around my right side, and I'm looking at him like, "What's up, bro?" No doors in the Jeep, of course. He's like,
"Yeah,
your spare tire flew off when you went over the tracks on Wiles." I'm like, "What?"
Oh no!
What? You've seen that Jeep, by the way. It's got the mounted on the back is this huge spare tire, and I'm like, "Wow, this guy's trying to do me a favor." It reminded me of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, that you're going the wrong way. How do they know what way I'm going? You know what I mean? So I turned around, went back, and I'm thinking, I could have killed somebody. Have you been to NASCAR races? Have you been to live auto racing, which I now have? Director Jordan would know. Tires fly off all the time. They kill people. So I go back, and I found it, and then I had to put it in the passenger seat and drive home. So that happened today.
Jeez.
How about that?
And I can only imagine you're like, "This jerk, get off my tail."
I'm like, what a jerk. And he's trying to do me a favor. Anyways, Allie in Texarkana writes in. She says, "Best movie ever." It's up there, and I think about that a lot. Slapshot is always the one for me, always Slapshot. But I also think of Steve Martin. Why would you leave me in the middle of a parking lot? So good. Anyways, what a start. We've got a lot of time to get to on the RP Show Hour 1 today because the lone guest is Bryn Griffiths, Mighty Mouth, and he's not until Hour 2. Mighty Mouth, the guy can talk about a variety of things. He's worked for the Oilers. He's launched TSN Radio in Edmonton, former voice of the Moose Jaw Warriors. Bryn Griffiths can talk about a lot of things. He's in Hour 2. Now, with all that put aside, can you hit the quick six show? And we'll get down to business. Other than to say, Navy Dawn has written in, and he says, so is Gary Bettman trying to defend the integrity of the NHL? What a clown. Pump the brakes, y'all. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We'll get there. Let's start with NHL leftovers. A lot of interesting games last night. Kent Johnson's goal at 2:29 of overtime lifted the visiting Columbus Blue Jackets to a surprising 3-2 victory over the red-hot Edmonton Oilers in Edmonton. Boone Jenner and Kirill Marchenko also scored for the Jackets, who snapped the Oil's 6-game win streak. In Toronto, Mitch Marner scored 19 seconds into overtime at a terrific individual effort as Toronto battled back from a goal down to beat the Rangers 3-2. I watched that one. Kenny Albert had the call, but I didn't know until this morning because I had the sound turned down last night, but I watched the highlights this morning. I'm like, hey, Kenny sounded in mid-season form. Timothy Liljegren with a goal and an assist, and Pontus Holmberg provided the rest of the offense for the Leafs, who got 27 saves from Ilya Samsonov. He's unbeaten in like 13 games at home or something now, Samsonov. And wee Willie Nylander had that assist on Liljegren. Am I saying Liljegren right? His 400th career point.
Right.
How do you say? Liljegren?
Liljegren?
Okay.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you look at how great the Leafs are, 4th overall in the NHL. I don't know who these guys are. Timothy Liljegren, Pontus Holmberg. That's not an insult, but it's not necessarily the usual suspects. You got Austin, you got Morgan Riley, you got Mitch Marner, but there's a pretty good supporting cast there too.
There is, and a lot of them have come up through the Marlies, like Pontus Holmberg and others. They've always had a pretty good system in Toronto with the Marlies, but it hasn't translated into the NHL. And now they're starting to see some of those guys more at scale come back up to the big club and have an impact after spending some significant time down there. And we talk about it all the time, and you hear it, the value of the American Hockey League. We never really talk about it, and it's very underrated, but a lot of guys get their start down in the A.
I had no idea who they were. I mean, I was just settling into watching the Calgary Wranglers in Calgary and enjoying it before I came back to Florida. And I'm excited to watch the Wranglers again when I get back to Calgary. But I don't know why those games aren't on national television in Canada. That is a topic for another time. Jen from the Four Seasons Sports Palace, home of the Rod Pedersen Show Super Bowl party, the Four Seasons, writes in, she says, good morning, everyone. Ugh, Oilers lose in overtime, but have to admit, Kopp played a great game. Wasn't the best game. Are you using nicknames? Stop with the nicknames, Jeff. We don't all know who these people. Who's Kopp? Who's Dry? Come on. I love Jennifer, but I'm like, I can't get into. We're not in the dressing room here, okay? And by the way, who said Stuart Skinner's the best goalie the Oilers had 3 years ago? Oh yeah, this guy.
How about that?
Rick talk. We're going to get to the tanking discussion, so everybody just don't get your panties in a bunch. Everybody's all geeked up because they saw in our preview that we're going to talk about tanking because Gary Bettman came out and talked about that. Rick Tocchet's undefeated streak as coach of the Vancouver Canucks is over. It ended at 1 after beating the Blackhawks 5-2 Tuesday night at the Garage. By the way, do they still call it the Garage in Vancouver? Remember, it used to be GM Place, which I thought was really cool. What a great nickname for that place. Now it's Rogers something. Anyways, they went into Seattle last night and got blitzed 6-1 by the Kraken. Connor Garland scored the lone goal for the Canucks, who fired Bruce Boudreau on Sunday. Now listen, Tocchet came out after the game. I don't know if you saw the interview I did on NHL Network. You must have. He called his players soft. And I think he said something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing here, but they need 18 to 20 more practices. But he called them soft. I don't know if he can whip the soft out of them within 18 to 20 practices. Finally, Tocchet said it. No, like that's the worst thing, by the way, that you can be called in the game of hockey. Well, if somebody said something about your mom, ironically, that was in our pre-show today, right? The thing. Yeah, you say something about your mom, that's the worst. Next thing, you're soft. I used to be soft. Not anymore. I don't know how you make a hockey team unsoft, though, but that's why Rick Tocchet's getting $2.75 million. Any ideas, Moose?
It's really tough, I think, in season and when you're moving forward. You have to find a way. I'm a believer of, stopping, and almost coming to the table with a new day one. And it's hard to do that when you bring a new coach in and, boom, you got to play right away, and you got to play right away, and you got to play right away. I think he's got to get through the season, instill some of his, habits and culture things. But then when he goes into the offseason, let the guys leave. And when they come back in for camp day one, this is when we roll. Okay, we're setting on all these kind of things that we do today. And so it'll be interesting to see what he does between now and the end of the season. But I expect it to really start next year.
Very interesting to watch, for sure. And by the way, I'll relate this to my life again. My brother watches this show all the time. A lot of my family, they know that for the longest period of time in my life, I was soft. But I'm the exact opposite now. Life circumstances turn me that way. But that's not relatable necessarily to a hockey team. One of my recovery clients this morning said something to me, and he goes, I hope I didn't offend you. I'm like, buddy, I can't be offended. I've been hurt so much in life that I can't be hurt anymore. But I'm a 50-year-old man. I'm not a 25-year-old NHL player, with 19 other guys, which I want to move on to the tanking debate because it does play in here. Other than to say, and we'll talk about this next hour more, the Chicago Blackhawks are at the Calgary Flames tonight. This should be nothing more than a Sunday skate for the Calgary Flames, I would think. Now, to point two, do teams tank? That is the Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center poll question today. Do you think teams tank in order to get a higher draft pick? A very simple yes or no. And Clark, what do you got on YouTube? Last I saw, yes was leading. What's the update on that? 80% saying yes, they do. And on Twitter, 86% saying yes, they do. Well, by the way, maybe we need to tune some people in here today, Moose. And we're going to bring them back, right? No, they don't. They do not. And you don't necessarily have to take my word for it, but I'm real happy that I had the ability to spend 20 years with a pro football team and another 20 years with a high-level major junior hockey team, and now I'm associated with these NHL teams. So I've been around it forever. They don't tank. And I've been in it since before the lottery and now the lottery, and the NFL doesn't even have a lottery. They do not tank. But again, you don't need to take my word for it. Mike Rupp, former New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup winner, was on NHL radio today. I was listening to it this morning with Scott Laughlin, and he took it one step further. I'll quote Rupper in a second, but here's my thing. The guys that are in the Canucks locker room, the Blackhawks, the Coyotes, they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed. Columbus, that they're the worst team in the NHL. Now, they're going around that room, each guy to a man, I would say, thinks they're not the reason. They all think they're good NHL players and they're in a bad situation, but they're embarrassed. Jokes are being made about their team. They're not going to go out and fold. That's just from the players. And even what Mike Rupp said today was, this galvanizes a team. The players go, oh, yeah? You think we're tanking? Watch this. And then they'll go out and play their asses off. Now, above them, you say, does the coach play the third-string goalie? Does the GM sit the stars and bring up their minor league guys? And I could talk about that. But even I don't believe that happens in any league. They don't purposely tank. And so Gary Bettman came out and said that. Now, Gary's been this league's general manager since 1993. So when he got into it, he would have no idea whether they do or not. I would think he would know now, after 30 years, that the teams don't. I could not be more confident in saying they don't tank because there's pride on the line. But you might not agree, Darren. What do you think?
I think there's a chance that owners, presidents, and even general managers tank. There's a chance. You make moves, you sell off assets, you set your team up to have a real bad year. But there's only one guarantee, and that is that the jersey, the logo, the team is going to be playing next season, right? That's a guarantee. But there's no guarantee you're going to be coaching. There's no guarantee I'm going to be part of this next team, right? So coaches, players, they don't tank. They don't want that on film. They don't want that on their resume. They want to instill confidence that they're part of the solution, not part of the problem. So, no, I don't think coaches and players tank. Maybe management does. That I can get behind, but not the players and coaches.
You can get behind the argument that they might, but I don't think you like that they might do it. But I still don't think they do it, but again, go back and listen to the podcast on NHL Radio this morning. Mike Rupp with Scott Laughlin, and I think Gord Stellick was on there too. And Rupp goes, if you're the head coach and you're being asked, supposedly, by the owner or general manager to tank, the coach is going, why would I tank? I'm not even going to be here to coach the kid when he gets here, the number one. I got to be fired. Right? Like, that is a fact. And well, maybe crappy, rotten organizations do. Like here in Miami, after Brian Flores, the head coach, got fired as coach of the Dolphins, he turned around and pointed the finger back at the owner, Stephen Ross, and said, that guy offered me $100,000 a loss at the end of the season. Remember that? So what did the NFL do? They went out, they investigated it, they went through every single play by play. And the only reason I know, I followed it pretty closely because I'm here, and at the end, they came out and said, we have no proof that they deliberately tanked these games at the end of the season. There's no proof. And they said there were some really stupid coaching decisions made by Brian Flores, but we think that's just because that's Brian Flores. We don't think he did it to intentionally lose the game. So I'm not done on this, but you can't convince me that the teams tank. They don't. I mean, the other thing is these coaches, dude, whenever they're done, their record is everything to them. It's everything. It's what goes into the history book. You know what our guy, Kevin the Medium, wrote the other day? He goes, Rick Tocchet has a .475 career winning percentage. Well, 2 more wins might bump that up a little bit. I had a coach call me at 2 in the morning one night crying his eyes out. Coach of a team that I was calling the games for. I don't want to say, but he goes, we're going to lose X amount of games and it's going to be on my record. And I'm only calling you because I don't want to go home. He was driving around on the phone. So no. The players don't tank. The coaches don't tank. And I don't, on good teams, the GMs don't. Now, look at Chicago and go, why did they trade Kirby Dach? If you're going to deliberately, you might make it look like they were tanking by trading Kirby Dach. Stupidest trade, I think, in the last couple of years in the NHL. And it was a rookie general manager that did it. Anyways, regarding my foibles this morning, with the spare tire bouncing off the back of my Jeep. Richard Murray's watching in Battleford, Saskatchewan. He says, you picked a fine time to leave me, loose wheel. LOL. I used to actually think those were the lyrics to the Kenny Rogers song, Lucille. I actually thought that. You picked a fine time to leave me, loose wheel. Okay, Moose, we're just getting going. We'll be right back. What a day. It's the RP Show. Game Plus Television. Live on the streams, YouTube, and 99.1 WQEE Radio.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com. Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
BetRegal Resort and Casino. BetRegal Resort and Casino. Casino fancy.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show, and we've got Darren Moose Dupont with us, the co-host. He is from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. Let's bring him in now. And I knew that this would be a hot topic today. I love talking about it. It's a sports talk show. And to be honest with you, we could sit and talk about last night's games or this upcoming weekend's games, and trust me, we will. But this is an update that we can really sink, this is a topic we can really sink our teeth into with Connor Bedard going to be the number one NHL pick, the next Sidney Crosby, the next Connor McDavid. So Stephen in North Dakota watching, he says, thanks, Rod, for the tanking perspective. I had not looked at a player's tape and reputation as an important factor in today's win now at all costs society. By the way, I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm saying by and large it doesn't happen. I've never seen it with any teams that I've been with. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, you remember Nelson Moose? He's the reason that you get to watch ESPN every day. Nelson says, of course teams tank. Outside of the CFL, in any of the big four leagues, a draft pick, especially when they are deemed a generational talent, can turn a franchise around. It's a business first. Okay, Nelson, well, tell me where you specifically know that they did, because I don't think you know that they did. And somebody wrote in with a really good comment here, says, Earl James says, until they actually put something into law or rules, it's always going to happen. Fixing the draft, a much better way to eliminate tanking. Well, they did that with the NHL draft lottery. They did that with the NBA draft lottery, and they still get accused that it's rigged. And I don't believe that it is. There are things with these leagues that I don't like, but that's not one of them. I don't think they would rig the draft. And furthermore, with the NFL, they don't have a lottery. I don't know why they don't. You could conceivably see why teams would tank to get the number one overall pick, but Jacksonville was just a simple grease fire when they got Trevor Lawrence at number one overall. That was not intentional. And it didn't even work out. Like, look at this year. Chicago Bears have the number 1 overall pick in the NFL, and they don't need a quarterback. Like, there's all these mock drafts going out there. They got their quarterback in Justin Fields. So they'll get the best player that's not a quarterback at number 1. So anyways, yeah, do you have any last thoughts on that before we
There's no tanking there. You know, Houston had the number 1 pick all locked up, and they need a quarterback. And then they went out and won the last game, which took them out of number 1. Like, it's not happening there. You can tell me, and again, it all depends on your definition of tanking, that organizations set them up for cycles. Like there is a lot of evidence. You talk about the Kirby Doc trade and what Chicago did selling off some assets that they, want to bottom out, kind of time it around the Bedard trade, and then start to build. Like, there was no evidence of that team trying to build a contender this year. They were content being a team that missed the playoffs. But on the ice, there's no sitting there throwing of games, tanking, playing bad players just to try and lose games. That's not happening. But you might try and plan your organizational cycle around a generational talent. But you said that lottery protects that because, yeah, you may have better odds than all the other teams. But statistically speaking, the team who finishes last won't win the lottery. It'll be one of the other teams because collectively they have more than a 50% chance.
Sure, and I hope you're loving this chat as much as I am. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, Rod makes an excellent point about coaches and players not wanting to tank, but management definitely wants to get the first pick this year to get Bedard. But there's no guaranteed way of doing it, and them bringing in the lottery was the best way to do it. Randy from Winnipeg says the Houston Texans didn't tank. They won their last game to lose the first pick. For sure, but it worked out anyways because Chicago's not, I wouldn't think, going to take a quarterback. Why would you when you have the number 1 overall pick? Like, you could take him and trade him, but what would be the point? So I think Houston at number 2 is going to get the best quarterback anyways. So they're lucky. And it's interesting that they went on to fire Coach Lovie Smith. Anyways, Jeff, the Stamps fan, says these guys are way too competitive. There's no way any NHL management would tank on purpose. It's not in their nature. Ding, 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 ding. It's a weird day. Write it down. Jeff, the Stamps fan, and I agree. They just wouldn't do it. Now, I know we've gone into weekends, and I know a lot of the hockey guys are watching because they tell me they do. We go into the last weekend of the regular season, when I was with the Regina Pats, God's team, and maybe we would call up our affiliated players from AAA Midget. We would play the backup goalie. People still don't know, and this is the Canadian Sports Show, and people know my Saskatchewan roots. They still don't know why the Rough Riders, when battling for their playoff lives, sat their starting quarterback for the last 2 games of last season. And it sure as heck wasn't to tank for higher pick in the CFL draft, which means nothing. It wasn't to tank. And with the Pats, Lorne Mulliken was our coach. I'll never forget, the former Chicago Blackhawks coach, and Blades and Penguins and Sharks. And people were mad. That's a whole other debate. They're like, we're buying tickets to come. We had stars on that team, like legit stars, as you know. He's like, I don't care. We're resting our guys, getting ready for the playoffs. Want to get a look at these young guys. It had nothing to do with tanking or standings or anything like that. It had to do with evaluation, and that goes on too. Arlen Bruce, hey, AB, he writes in, he says, as a former athlete at a high school, college, pro level, I've never heard a coach say tank it or play to lose. That would be very weak to do something like that at any level. That is my point. Thank you, AB. And I'll go back to even Mike Rupp's comments this morning on NHL radio. The players take it as an affront. You could see that. They would sit around and go, oh, they want us to lose? Oh, let's jam it where the sun don't shine. You could see them doing that, couldn't you?
Yes. The players would either do that or they'd say, no. Bench me, cut me, scratch me, send me down to the minors. Because I'm not coming here every day to lose games. It's not what I want to do. And they're frustrated when they do lose games, right? There's a difference between being a young, bad team coming to the rink knowing you're going to lose, but it's like, hey, we're going to be working our bags off here to try and get better and trying to win all these games, but nobody's losing intentionally. And in football especially, that's when people get hurt, when you're trying not to win and play hard.
That's interesting. We've seen it. From the Peanut Gallery, our audience, Swerve95 writes in and says NFL's Roger Goodell is bought and paid for, though. I don't know about that. From JT, he says NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman is gullible and naive. Yeah, how do you know that? You got to learn that from all the time you spent around him? You're just going by what you see. These guys aren't dumb. And while I don't necessarily think everything that they do in these leagues is on the up and up, I don't think this is one of them, okay, is my point. And again, 30 years that Gary has been the commissioner of the NHL, he's not dumb. If he didn't know it at the start, he knows it now. And to be honest, I don't think you want to be caught lying to the commissioner if you're a coach or a GM. The owners probably do it all the time, but I don't think the coaches and GMs would want to do that, Moose. Any more thoughts before we try to move on again?
No, I think, we've kind of put this to bed, like, for now anyways. I just don't think it happens. I really don't.
Okay. We'll see if it's affected the voting, because well over 80% of the people in the daily poll for Capital Auto Mall and Universal Collision Center say that they do tank. And I'm like, you would think that. But I've never seen any evidence that they do, is my point. Moving on, the top prospects game was Wednesday night. I got to mention Carcer Rakoff had a goal and an assist. Team White took a 4-2 win off Team Red at the CHL NHL top prospects game in Langley, BC. Connor Bedard of God's team was held off the score sheet. I'm not going to spend any more time on that. For my thoughts, go to rodpeterson.com right now or listen on Sask Radio on Bedard being held scoreless in his hometown. I will just say this. I didn't watch any of it. It didn't start till 10 Eastern. Did you?
I seen a little bit of it, and I definitely watched the extended highlights. I think he was a -2 on the night. But you know what? The whole prospects game was, here's what Bedard did. And, he dazzled with some great plays. He had some really good chances to score. He had 3 really good chances to score, so he made his mark. But then he got frustrated, and he cross-checked one of the players on the other team after they had scored a goal, and he kind of got into a little bit of a scrum. So you see a little bit of, maybe how you can get him off his game a little bit. But even when he's not scoring, he's still on the highlight reel. So I think it's fine.
I'll tell you something. First met that kid when he was 14, and I felt sorry for him. I mean, everybody looks at it and says, oh, he's going to make millions. He's going to be the big star. Yeah, and he's going to have a microscope on him everywhere he goes for the rest of his life, or at least for the next 25 years till he retires. And that is a lot to live with for these players, because I've seen how they do it, and it ain't fun. And on a night-to-night basis. I'm like you. I wanted to see what he did last night. I got up this morning. I'm like, pointless? Something doesn't add up. At the World Juniors against the best players his own age, he set records. He goes into this game in his hometown? Doesn't make any sense. Okay, we'll play Deal or No Deal next segment so I can get my robe on. NFL Conference Championships this Sunday, although you're the one that's going to make the picks betting-wise here. A couple other points. NBA, Pascal Siakam had 26 points and 11 rebounds in Toronto's 113-95 victory over Pacific leading Sacramento. Fred VanVleet scored. That's the best name of the NBA, isn't it? Fred VanVleet scored 17 points for the Raptors, who had lost 4 of their last 6, and we were starting to think they were the Craptors. I kind of like the name DeMarcus Cousins. That's pretty cool, too. That's an NBA name, but Fred VanVleet is better. In Oklahoma City, Trae Young had 33 points and 11 assists in Atlanta's 137-132 victory over Oklahoma City. Here come the Hawks. DeJounte Murray scored 21 points for Atlanta. And actually, I'm glad that I bounced on the Deal or No Deal and saved it for the next segment, because I don't know if you're watching this stuff about the Cowboys. There's a life lesson coming up here in the next 120 seconds before we break. You see the Dallas Cowboys Twitter account is in a little heat. To paraphrase, they basically said after the Cowboys lost in San Fran Sunday, we'd have won if it wasn't for Dak's interceptions. That's basically what they said. I haven't seen the fallout from that. And I guess Micah Parsons, the star linebacker, first-round pick from 2 years ago, the Cowboys came out, and he made some comments. I don't even know what they are. But here we are on the Thursday of conference final week. I'm watching ESPN. I don't have the sound up. I just got it on, and I see on the ticker, will Micah Parsons' comments cause a problem with Dallas Cowboys? I'm like, again? The game's on Sunday. Who cares? Why are we talking about the Dallas Cowboys? The life lesson is be careful what you say in moments of stress and anger, especially now. Because people not going to let you off a hook? They're not going to let you off the hook and say, oh, he was just mad. They're not going to do that.
I was reading something in a workshop and on social media and leadership and whatnot, and it said if you have any thought at all that I maybe shouldn't tweet this, I maybe shouldn't say it, then you shouldn't. And it's okay to say nothing, and it's okay to step back. Because your reputation and everything else matters more than making sure you have content out every single day. So in this situation, sometimes when you lose, it's better to just put your tail between your legs, go and decompress, take a vacation, and come back stronger with a clear head in a week.
It's really difficult for these players, and I guess my point, this isn't just players though, because everybody's can be a broadcaster, everybody can be a reporter or a public figure with social media, and people can screenshot it, and you'll never be able to live it down. So, like you say, you're best to say nothing. My thing is, instead of having to decide whether I should listen or not because the comments were made in haste, I just don't listen to anything that anybody says. I don't take anything to heart ever. And it's actually made life a lot less stressful. But you said, who cares what they said? Deal or no deal next, and whatever else everybody else would like to talk about. I feel like we got them stirred up today, Moose. It's the RP Show on Game Plus TV, YouTube Live, your favorite podcast platform, and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now back to the studio with Rod.
You betcha. 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us. Text while safely doing so. Checking in here, Jim in Balgony, Sask, writes in. He says, hello, RP Nation. Tune in for the sports talk and get bonus life lessons from Uncle Roddy. Love it. Always check your nuts. Tires, that is. No kidding, right?
How about
We'll
that?
revisit that later. We can bring the moose. The spare tire bounced off my Jeep this morning. Fortunately, no one was hurt.
All I think about is Lloyd Christmas driving the limo, and the explosions are going off from car accidents behind him, and he's just cruising along. So I just picture you with the tire bouncing down. Cars are swerving one way, swerving the other into the ditch. You're just driving along.
There was a little bit of that, but I was looking in my rearview mirror, and I'm like, why is this guy right up on my butt? Why I didn't notice that my spare tire was gone, I don't know. Welcome to the world of me. And by the way, before we play Deal or No Deal, that's why I put on this splashy robe, my BetRegal robe from our exclusive betting partner in Sportsbook. I know it's a little crooked. I don't quite know how to straighten it out, but I'm sure you're all okay with it. Just, back to coaches and players making comments in haste and extrapolating that to our audience. Be careful what you say, because people aren't going to give you a pass. From our viewers, Ryan McCarthy in New York State, he says, silence is often the best reaction to what feeling you're trying to convey. And that's the truth, too. I get really ticked off lately. And this all really came to the fore during COVID. I don't know why, because everybody was sitting at home with nothing better to do. But it was like, oh, your silence is an response. No, it's not, bro. Shut up. When the Tiger Cats hired Art Briles, the reviled head coach from the Baylor Bears, Ticats hired him, and there was a furor, as you recall. And we won't get into why he was so reviled, but some lady came after me, and she's like, what's your opinion on this? I said, I don't have one. She goes, then you support it. You're a father of daughters. You should. Back off, lady. I talked about the guy that had the BLM, Black Lives Matter, walk around the lake that I was asked to partake. I couldn't go. Guy's like, then you're anti-black. No, I'm not. Back off. I didn't see you at my recovery walk that I had in September. You know what I mean? Like, just pump your brakes, man. That's my point. So silence is the best policy. Not everybody allows you to do that. From Andrew in the audience, he says, absolutely right, guys. It's better to remain quiet than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. The phrase is actually better to remain silent and be assumed an idiot than open your mouth and remove all doubt. So
that's good.
How
Anyways.
about that?
Wait, this is interesting. Don, the Navy guy, says, silence is violence, the kids say. Yeah? Whoever listened to the kids, Don? Why would we start listening to them? Let's think about that. From T. Will in Winnipeg says, Rod the King Lawler. I do like the robe. And by the way, our guy Ryan O'Radio posted a thing the other day with Jerry the King Lawler. He's got a crown that I would like to see a crown on this program like Jerry the King Lawler's. And thank you, Ryan O'Radio, for posting that. When should I be expecting it, Moose, in the mail?
I do not have an estimated delivery date for you. I don't. Okay. But I do know it's in transit somewhere, and I think its first stop is at the BetRegal headquarters out in Ontario, and then some adjustments, and then it'll be on its way to you.
By the way, we are live on Game Plus television. We're very big in Winnipeg, and that's a good thing. I went to order some Tough Tribe the other day, Tough Tribe for Men. You know, at one time a partner of this show, and they will be again. Did you know they're based in Winnipeg? Did you know that?
Yeah.
I had no idea. So I'm like, I think I'm just going to wait till I get back to Canada in a few weeks, and I'll order it then, rather than have them try and ship it across the border, and God knows what happens there. So, yeah, I cannot live without my Tough Tribe for Men. Dude, as you know, and our staff, I didn't even know what pomade was till a year ago. I didn't.
Magic.
I didn't even know how to
change
say
your
it.
life. Yeah.
Oh, I won't leave the house unless I have Tough Tribe for Men pomade. I'm not joking. And by the way, what was the promo code to get a deal? Do you remember?
It won't be active right now, but we'll. I think it was RP20 to get a deal, but we'll have to check.
Well, I think so too. But come on, guys, come on! I got guys writing me from all over North America. I'm not joking, saying what's the promo code for Manscaped, because they got to do some trimming of their berries and they want to get a deal and they want to support us. So that promo code should be live.
How about that?
Swerve95 writes, and he says, two Tony Robbins in the house. Oh, yeah, we got it all figured out, don't we, Moose? Don, our Navy friend, when I said, who's listening to the kids? Anyways, who cares what they have to say? Don says, too many are listening to the kids, Rod, especially in our institutions. Well, that's why they're in institutions, Don. I don't listen to them. And life's about choices. It's a free country. And if we have a problem with the people in office, we could run for office. I'm done now with my TED Talk. Are you ready to play? Are you ready to play?
Yes.
Deal or no deal, finally. How'd you know, Clark? You put it up on the screen. You knew I was ready for it. Deal or no deal for our exclusive betting partner and sportsbook, BetRegal. Sunday, NFL Conference Championship Sunday begins with the San Francisco 49ers at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are favored by 2.5. We don't have a ton of games to go through, so I'll just get your analysis a little bit on this. Moose, Eagles by 2.5. Deal or no deal?
Deal. All day. I'll take it. The Eagles, to me, look as good as they did at their peak back in, October, when they were just rolling. Their offensive play calling was sharp last week. They really dominated, what was an energetic and maybe the Cinderella story in the New York Giants. Their quarterback's playing well. They seem to be somewhat healthy. And so I think they're really going to control the football. It's going to be a problem for, the 49ers, who struggled to really put up points against the Dallas Cowboys.
All right, and we're up against it for a break. If you can make the analysis a little snappier this time for the second game, Cincinnati Bengals at the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs now favored by 1.5. The Chiefs favored at home by 1.5. Deal or no deal?
Because they say Mahomes is going to play. No deal. Despite the bad offensive line, the injured offensive line in Cincy, no. The Mahomes question mark makes me take the Bengals.
Nice work. Sign up and start playing today, BetRegal.ca. And by the way, starting Monday, a very exciting promotion coming your way, a contest for our audience from BetRegal. So get signed up this weekend, and then we'll tell you about it Monday. A sports update is next, and viewer takeover. It's the RP Show live on Game Plus television, on the streams, including YouTube, and on the radio, 99.1 WQEE.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Yeah, I'd like to say the host with the most. Equally as much as the co-host, Darren Moose DuPont, who's with us from the NHL's Bermuda Triangle. And I will say this to the viewers, the audience, the listeners. If this is the show where you because I hear it from people, I'd rather just hear you and Moose. Why do you got to have all those interviews? I get it. Today is largely that day, so enjoy it and tell all your friends. It's similar to that podcast, the Bo and Benny Show. Bo Levi Mitchell and Ben Hebert. I said to Hebert down at the Grey Eagle in Calgary, I said, why do you got to have those interviews, Benny? I just want to hear you two on there. Like, I get the sentiment. And Hebert goes, well, we had this girl on from the Canadian soccer, and it was with 30,000 downloads, the most we ever had. And I'm like, ooh, okay. I get that. I get that, too. So it's a little bit for everybody here on the program. And I didn't want to start a holy war, nor a jihad, which I think translation is a holy war. Guy in Toronto's watching Eternal Blue 6 on Twitter, Darren, and he says, the Leafs are by far and away the most popular team across English-speaking Canada. Why wouldn't you program to the largest fan base? It's regarding Hockey Night in Canada, numbers being beaten by the NFL last weekend, and some saying there are too many games. It's the Leafs too often. They are the most popular team in English-speaking Canada. Like, I don't cheer for them and never have. Is that why you're cheering for them? Because everybody else does? There's got to be something to that with some people. Are you one of them?
No, not because everybody else is. You got to have your own attachment to it. But I think that's the whole idea of an influencer, right? Is you influence people's behavior. Rod does this. I like Rod. Rod's cool, so I want to do what Rod does, right? So I think there's that. If your best friends do this or do that, but I don't think you necessarily just do it because everybody else is doing, but a lot of people do. I understand a lot of people do that. They just want to go with the crowd.
Well, it's interesting. It's Wayne Gretzky's birthday today, by the way. Happy birthday, Wayne. We have it on our Instagram story. And again, this morning, obviously I love Scott Loffley. He's a good friend of mine. We used to work together at The Score. He has the mid-morning show on NHL radio. And he was saying he ate the cereal because Wayne endorsed the cereal. He goes, I didn't wear GWG jeans, but Gord Stellick did because of Wayne. And I'm like, I didn't eat. He said he put on 10 pounds in a summer eating Mr. Big bars because Wayne endorsed Mr. Big. And I sat there driving shortly after I discovered that my spare tire had fallen off my Jeep in traffic. And I'm thinking about this. What else did Wayne endorse? He endorsed 7-Up. But it didn't make me want to drink 7-Up, nor eat Mr. Big chocolate bars because I didn't really like them. But as I've told you, I did have the crew cut that Wayne sported in the summer of 1988 when they won the Stanley Cup with the Oilers and then was traded to L.A. I had the same haircut as Wayne because Wayne had it. So I get what you're saying. But then here's another one, Moose. We'll have to push the sports update to next hour because this is one of our first texts that have come in from somebody watching on the replay at night. Okay? They think we're live. So Terry, I won't say his last name, Terry is watching in Lake Country, BC. I love these names that come in of towns that I've never even heard of before. Where's Lake Country, BC? It's like Prairie City, Illinois. Where the hell is that?
Beautiful
we got that text.
Sounding.
Okay, that was the first one. The lady was bitching that we were interrupting her show in the heat of the night. Remember that?
Yes.
Anyways, Terry, we air, everybody, at 10 p.m. Pacific. Last minute of play in hour one. We air again at night. But we're live during the day, but at night. So this guy's watching at night, Terry, and he says, who is the greatest NHL enforcer of all time? We have to constantly remind ourselves we have brand new audience. We've discussed this. We had a poll, remember? We brought in Wendell Clark. We brought in Tiger Williams. We talked about this, and we came up with an answer, and I'm going to push it into hour two. But I just love the fact, Aaron, that 926 episodes in, people are just finding us, but we have all the answers to all their questions. And it's free.
Isn't it great?
Free of charge. Okay.
Awesome.
Lots to get to next hour, including Mighty Mouth, Brandon Griffiths after this brief pause on Game Plus and WQEE, The Key.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great
Great news! Factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Right now.
Realizing I watched a lot of television with the youngsters back in the day.
How about that?
I'll say it again. That cab driver in Bucharrios, Mexico, when he said, "Señor, your español es mucho bueno." Why is that? I said, Dora the Explorer. That's why I learned so much Spanish.
I got to brush up on my Spanish, though.
Yes, you do. ¿Cómo estás? Uno más, por favor.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hola. Buenos dias. It's the RP Show, and we're live on Game Plus TV and WQEE Radio. We've heard from our friends down there at WQEE Rhino Radio. Give them a follow, everybody, on Facebook. They got some great stuff going on there. They love their hockey on WQEE Radio. They broadcast it, right, Ryan? The River Kings and the Gladiators, too, I think. Yeah. Let's bring in the Moose, Darren Moose DuPont. This turn has... It certainly hasn't taken a turn to negative town, but it has taken a turn. It's out of my control now, right? It's the viewers have completely taken it away. And listeners, and I'm more than happy to do that. More than happy to do that. Because that's like when you go in and do a banquet. You've done them. I'm not joking. I conservatively say I think over 1,000. I love turning it over to the crowd. Let's do Q&A, okay? Because that way you'll get what you want. Instead of me standing up here giving a speech that might completely miss the mark. For instance, I said the gentleman Terry from Lake Country, BC, was watching in the middle of the night. The text came in at 1:23 a.m. and he says, "Who's the number one enforcer of all time?" And I'm like, should we tell him we're not live? And what was he doing up at 1:30 in the morning? Maybe he's a shift worker. Maybe he works in an industry we've never heard of, Moose. Something interesting that we don't even know about. Anyways, Cliff. Yeah, Cliff. I appreciate you, Cliff. He's now watching in Kelowna live, Cliff Hanselman. And I know him. I know his son Colby better. Cliff says Lake Country is 10 miles north of Kelowna on the way to Vernon. How about that? That's beautiful.
How about that?
Territory out there. Yeah. Yeah. And if I may, Darren has always been amazed by my ability and personal touch. His son, Colby, is the kid you saw in the photo with Chris Jones Chris Jones at Ryder Camp. Remember the kid with the flaming red hair and the Ryder shirt, and they were sitting on the ground together like it looked like they were going to have a popsicle together or something. That's his kid, right? So when I say I know Colby better, that's why. But thank you, Cliff, for the info. And we'll get to this about the Leafs' popularity and so forth. But to Terry's question, in Lake Country, BC, who's the number one toughest enforcer of all time in the National Hockey League? We did zero in on an answer. Do you remember what we came up with, Darren? And you'll be forgiven if you don't, because this guy was a little before your time.
I don't know who we came up with, but like my mind, I know who I'm thinking of. My mind goes to Bob Probert.
A lot of guys will say that he wasn't, believe it or not. And I don't even know if Proby would want to be known as that. Maybe. I mean, he was a 50-goal scorer. That's what everybody forgets about Bob Probert. He could score, too. Listen, it was Joe Kocur. And I'm looking it up right now. Does that name mean anything to you, Moose? Is that something you might be interested in?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
Kelvington.
Right. And the reason I say that, everybody, is because I sent a text to Tiger Williams. Watch your feet, Moose. I'm going to drop a few names here. I don't want to break any toes. I texted Tiger, and I said, who's the toughest guy? He said Gordie Howe. Tiger Williams, the NHL's penalty minute leader, said Gordie Howe. But we can't. Mr. Hockey holds all the other records, set every other record. We can't give him this. So then I sent a text to Wendell Clark in Toronto. I'm like, Wendell, who is it? And he goes, well, you ask anybody that played in the 80s and 90s. It was Joe Kocur. From Kelvington, Sask. Played with the Yorkton Terriers for a couple of seasons, and then the Saskatoon Blades from 82 to 84. And then with the Detroit Red Wings, in the NHL from 1984 to 1989. And he split up 2 stints with the Detroit Red Wings with stops with the New York Rangers and Vancouver Canucks. So all I can say is I kind of would go with Wendell. And he would say Joe Kocur. We can't ask Proby, unfortunately. We could ask Ty Domi, but I'm not sure I'd believe him. They say Joe Kocur. Do you think it's Bob Probert, by the way? You were trying to guess on who you thought it would be.
Yeah, I think so. For me, I think so, yeah. But there's so many different guys. I mean, and then you want to look at, like, we don't even talk about George Laraque, right? In that, and he's one of them, too. But it was a different era when those guys played, when Probert and Kocur and those guys played. Like, it was nasty, and you had to be nasty, You look at, McSorley. There's a lot of names you could come up with. Domi's one of them, too, but there's a lot of names you could come up with about who's the toughest guys. And Domi's got to be in that conversation because he was so small, and yet he's kept going toe-to-toe with all these big guys, too. You got to be pretty tough to do that. But I like Kocur. Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, okay. I'm so wonderfully happy with the diversion. What did I tell you? We were going to turn it over to the viewers, and it's been wonderful. And the thing is, as I said, people are just finding us now, and what I want you to know, if you're new to the audience, radio or television or streaming, Darren and I have all the answers to pretty much anything you want to know. We've been through everything, and this is our 926th episode, and I feel like Terry in Lake Country, BC is like his first, So anyways, to this, there's some good comments here. Swerve95. Forgive me, Swerve, you're in Winnipeg, right? He says, Probert, Bob Probert versus Craig Cox. 2 fights, no defense whatsoever. Oh, Nelly! I was at Brian Dodge's house. I was in Dodge City, and I called up Probert versus Cox on the YouTube. We had it streaming on the screen, and Brian's jaw was on the floor, and I'm like, that's not even the one that I'm thinking of. It's this other one. But this one was pretty good, too. They're all on YouTube, and, oh, man. Steve in North Dakota asks if the NHL enforcer will ever make a comeback. Well, never's a long time, as Gary Echeverry says, but they're not coming back. You know, like you look at Stu Grimson, you forget about this very close friend of mine, and I can't wait to do more gigs with Grimmer. The Grim Reaper, man, one of the famed NHL enforcers. I might vote for him for the best ever just because I love him so much. And I watch him on NHL Network all the time. And I'm like, Grimmer, no offense, but you'd never play in the NHL today. He's like, you think I don't know that? He had 17 points in 17 years. Think about it. You know, he knows. He's just grateful that he had the career that he had when he did. That's why I get upset, really upset. And maybe we'll push this debate to tomorrow for football. But when you look at the NFL beating the NHL now for ratings, I don't think this is a small thing. A lot of people in Canada, it's not a small thing. Like when the NFL's taking over, what do you do? What do the big brand, big box stores do, Darren? They buy up the little guy, right? DuPont hardware going to be bought by Walmart eventually.
Yes.
You know, it's just a fact. So when does the NFL buy up the CFL? Like they should. It would help. I've been saying it for 20 years, as you know. But the argument from a lot of my really good football friends who I respect so much, they're like, yeah, but then the CFL player would go away. You know, the guy that a lot of your friends, you know, those defensive ends that had all those great sacks, they couldn't make it in the NFL because they weren't a big enough lineman, but they were too big to be a DB. And I'm like, I don't care. See what I'm saying? The NHL enforcer went the way of the dodo, too. Where are those guys? What are they doing? I don't know what they're doing anymore. You know, it's life. It's evolution. But the CFL, I don't really want to talk about it anymore because remember how everybody got so upset the last time? You know, in COVID, we had nothing else to talk about, so we talked about these things. The best thing for the for the CFL would to be bought by the NFL and become NFL Canada. And watch them burn the studio down now, Darren.
And you know what's going to happen.
Or maybe you don't agree. Maybe you don't agree.
No, but, I mean, it might be, for sure. But the enforcer question's interesting. Like, will we ever see it again? I don't know that we will. I would bet on no, we won't, because we're going away from fighting in sports. But everything comes with a necessity, right? You know, when the enforcer was there was a role. Protect the stars, keep room for them, because there was becoming less and less space, and they were taking liberties. Well, now the rules of the game prevent that. They give lots of space for the stars now. The rules do, with the speed and the no clutching and grabbing that they introduced with the obstruction, a decade ago, and things like that. I think if we start taking liberties on the stars, if the room becomes not there, you might see teams bring back an enforcer if there's a need. But the game would really have to shift back before that happened.
Yeah. Not to the degree that it was. By the way, it's 1:11 Eastern. Visualize a positive outcome, whatever that is. I have my ideas, but it's different for everybody. John in Edmonton, I'll get to your comment in a second. I just had a squirrel moment. My mind's going in far too many places. Oh, yeah. I was talking to a coach this morning who's watching right now on Game Plus TV because he tells me. And he coached Derek Bugard, the boogeyman. So he said to me, I certainly don't want to divulge his identity, but he said to me, or even hint at his identity, but he said to me, he goes, I saw the same look in Milan Lucic's eyes the other night when he was fighting against Columbus that I saw in Boogie's eyes. And I said, oh, what's that? He goes, he's tired of this. He didn't want to be fighting. And I said, yeah, but he's not fighting as much as Boogie was. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe Luch doesn't want to fight. I don't know. But when's the last time he fought before the other night against Columbus? I don't want to speak for him, but I'd go to as many Flames games as I do Panthers games. He doesn't fight that much. He's there, and as the hockey guys will tell you, the fact that he's there is enough. He doesn't have to be fighting, but if you think he could fight, that's what you want, right?
Yeah, that's what you want. It's a little bit of that, hey, this is here just in case, and you know it, so it keeps everything in line. It's like a security guard at the bank, right? He's there. You don't need him. But I'm not robbing the bank because he's there and he's got his gun and whatever else. But in the grand scheme of the game, we're not that far removed. It feels like we're eons removed from it, but we're really not that far removed from the day where you would have guys right on the opening faceoff. Okay, we got to go tonight, and you knew every night which two guys were going to fight. That's not that long ago that we saw that.
Yeah, it still happens. It happened the other night. Like, it's not completely out of line. The fact that when it does happen now, it's quite exciting because it used to happen almost every game. Trying to keep it on the rails, but again, trying to hand it over to the audience, and I'm really enjoying it. I hope everybody else is as much. How about you guys down there in Atlanta? Shoot us a note, 902-518-3033. Very unheralded hockey town, Atlanta, Georgia. And by the way, tomorrow will be football, ball for all tomorrow. So we're getting the hockey out of the way today. John in Edmonton says, why do you think teams are tanking just to get Connor Bedard? The commissioner hates that. Well, John, who will never, ever, ever, ever understand what I'm saying. Ever. I can confidently say John in Edmonton will never understand what I'm saying. It's like I'm speaking another language. Rewind it, John. I don't think they're tanking, but everybody else does. We covered this an hour ago, right, Moose? We covered it for half an hour to the point where you're like, let's move on, and I agreed. But the poll question today for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center is, do you think teams tank in order to get a higher draft pick? And an hour ago, 86% of people were saying yes. Clark, what's the update now? What are they saying? Yeah, 70%. It's coming down. Here is the other thing, Moose. I kind of got to be careful, but I kind of don't, because I don't really care. I was saying to another NHL guy the other day, I said, now that I'm living and spending my time in NFL and NHL cities, I am stunned by the amount of media that has no idea about the leagues and the game that they cover. Like, blown away. Blown away. And one TSN analyst, a former NHL guy, we talked about this, and he goes, a lot of guys here don't know the game. So I'm trying to explain to you that they don't tank. For darn sure the coaches and players don't, and maybe the GMs want you to, and Darren explained last hour, you can manipulate your roster near the end of the season to maybe hurt your chances to win. But don't think the coaches and players are ever going out there to intentionally lose. They will not do it. And by the way, they didn't get to the level that they're at by losing on purpose. So I will agree with Gary Bettman on that. My little buddy from New York. Bryn Griffiths on the way for the Oilers fans that have questions about their loss last night to Columbus. Mighty Mouth will join us 2 segments from now to talk about it. We'll get to the NFL games this weekend. There's only 3 football games left, Darren, by the way. 3 football games left this year in leagues that are not XFL or USFL. It's the RP Show. We are live on Game Plus, your favorite podcast platform, YouTube, of course, and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Is it time to take your event online?
Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Laid back and kicking it, let's head back to the studio. Here's Rod.
Yeah, buddy. NHL All-Star Game coming up, by the way, next weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's been questions come in from our audience today about the events, the new ones, what's going on. Can we wait till next week and we'll address that? There's enough going on this week. Before we bring the Moose back in, there are a sports update. There were 9 games on the NHL schedule tonight with 3 Canadian teams in action. The Montreal Canadiens host the Detroit Red Wings. The Buffalo Sabres take their 4-game win streak to Winnipeg. This should be a biggie. And the Calgary Flames look for a 3rd straight win when they host the Chicago Blackhawks. That one doesn't need to be close. The Toronto Raptors opened a 7-game NBA road trip on Wednesday night by upsetting the Pacific Division leading Sacramento Kings 113-95. Didn't see that one coming. The Atlanta Hawks were winners too, by the way. Had our way with the Oklahoma City Blazers 137-132. Brock Purdy's NFL career started with the moniker of Mr. Irrelevant and the week-long trip to Newport Beach to celebrate the player picked last in the draft. With one more win, Purdy's rookie season in the NFL will end on the brightest stage of all as a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl for the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers play the Philadelphia Eagles in Sunday's NFC title game. Purdy will try to become the first rookie quarterback ever to reach the Super Bowl. That is a hell of a story. Let's bring the Moose back in here, Darren Moose Dupont. And we got a few topics on the table, not as much as your normal Bonanza or Golden Corral. There's a couple main ones. One is NHL fighters, and I thank Terry in Lake Country, BC, who was watching at 1:30 in the morning on Game Plus for spawning this whole discussion. How about that, eh, Moose?
Yeah.
Yeah, they love it. They just love talking about the fights. Swerve95, he's had a lot of great comments today. He says, Chicago versus Minnesota games back in the 80s went 4 hours long and 200-plus penalty minutes. Wasn't that great? It was so awesome. I loved it. We, if I may, because I know we're very big with the junior hockey crowd, when we used to ride the bus with the PA Raiders, my first ever full-time team, so I love them so much, our coaches were a bunch of goons, and they had a tape that was all their fights, a VHS that we'd pop it in. By name, Curtis Hunt, Rod Dahlman. Was Huntsy our coach? Rod Dahlman, Don Clark, Dale McPhee. Huntsy was around, let's put it that way. The older brother that I didn't need because I already have two. And we would watch 2 solid hours of Raiders fights. Ken Baumgartner, Dave Manson. They were all a bunch of animals. And we couldn't get enough of it. We'd run through that tape and go, play it again. You know, so much fun. T-Will in Winnipeg says, enforcing will never come back. Just like the 8 and 9 goal games being the norm will never come back. Goaltending has improved so much, technically, we'll never get back there. The game evolves. You may be right, but the Seattle Kraken have scored 8 goals like 7 times this year. It's something astounding. So it actually, they haven't necessarily gone anywhere. Jeff Kabilas in Winnipeg says, Colton Orr is another favorite tough guy. Met him. He's a nice guy. You would remember Orzie from, because you're a Leaf fan.
Yeah.
But we had him with the Pats. And I want to say, I think he grabbed Tutu. He grabbed somebody from the Wheat Kings. I think it was Tutu. And just wailed the tar out of him. Like, whack, 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 whack. Over. And Orr's dad was at the game. And he goes, it wasn't even fair. It was a man against a boy.
Yeah.
Colton Orr was a man playing junior hockey. It wasn't fair. And
he was a man in the NHL, too.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. We got to get Orzie on. He is a really good guy. Really good guy. A lot of these guys are great guys. The fighters are all great guys. I've yet to meet one that's a jerk. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Wayne in BC regarding the NFL buying the CFL, which I think is the only solution. But you know what? Who the hell am I? What do I know? Wayne says it's all about the money. So for that reason, I think the NFL will never buy the CFL. Why would it benefit the NFL? They're already the top dogs with all the money. That is actually a hell of a good point. Let me munch on that for a while. Do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I look at it from an NFL perspective. I'd say, okay, what do we gain from this? I always look at what's the objective? What are we trying to accomplish, right? What's the NFL trying to accomplish? Well, we want to keep growing our brands. So, okay, maybe we could have this team as, affiliates for some of the NFL teams. Cool, to keep growing the brand. But instead of buying the CFL and operating the CFL for millions and millions of dollars, we could continue to market like we do in Canada and grow it that way, and it's probably cheaper. So when you say it out loud, I think there's cheaper ways to continue to grow the brand than to own another football league. I really do.
Well, the way Wayne started that off, I thought I was going to have to argue with him. And then by the way he landed the plane, I was like, whoa, 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 you're making way too much sense. He's just saying, why would they? They don't need to.
Yeah.
They've already moved into Canada and taken over.
When you talk about...
Did the pootie.
Yes. That's Jerry Maguire, right?
I didn't even know. Yeah, of course it is.
But you look at what do we need? Who needs who, right? And I think that's where we had the XFL, CFL discussions. And I hate to bring up, bad memories and trauma for our viewers who didn't like listening to that. But when there was credible, conversations between Randy Ambrosie and the XFL. And you have it because you need something. The CFL wants to continue to grow exposure and CFL 2.0 in other markets, maybe the U.S. The XFL wants to be sustainable, so they look at a league that's been around for 100 years. You know, you need something from each other. The NFL doesn't really need anything from the Canadian Football League.
You're so right. You're like, they're doing it anyways. You know, and specifically how they did. I don't know how the NFL went from where they were to where they are now. I know how they went from where they were in Canada to where they are now. Because I remember being out in Vancouver, because I'm still close with a lot of the BC Lions staff. I was closer when I worked in the league. But I said to those guys with the Lions, are you worried about the NFL and the Seahawks? And they're like, no, why would we be? Well, I don't know. They got 3 players signing autographs at Pacific Center Mall on Saturday. They're holding a Seahawks golf tournament in the Lower Mainland. What are you guys doing? They're moving in, mowing your lawn. You know? I emceed a camp, a kids' camp with the NFL. It was NFL Practice with the Pros in the 90s. Donald Driver. Was it Donald Driver? Long time ago, bro. Long time ago. A lot of brain cells killed since then. But the NFL came up, and the Vikings went to anybody that participated, and you'll have to help me out. But the Packers came to Regina, and when I say AMC, I helped run the drills and everything. I'm not a football guy. I was on the mic. I was the barker.
Yeah.
The Vikings went to Winnipeg. I think the Denver Broncos went to Calgary. And I'm sure the Seahawks went to BC. This was in the 90s. Regarding them dropping the puck and then dropping the gloves and fighting, Allie has written in and she said, it happened last night in Dallas. So there. T-Will in Winnipeg says, I look forward to TSN buying the Rod Pedersen show and Rod coming on every day and telling why the Leafs are still the Cup favorite. I think he's doing that tongue-in-cheek. I put a post up on my recovery account, by the way. We mentioned last week, somebody asked me, what's that other business you referred to, Rod, that nobody knows about? Just go follow Pedersen Recovery on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's my personal company for recovery coaching people, mental health and addiction recovery. Today I put up a post that said, figure out what you want in life. And I did. You know that, Moose. That's why I'm so happy. And one of those is not be working at TSN and being told what to say. Not interested in it. Or a team. There's a lot of guys and gals that will do it. I don't want to do it. I had to do it for a long time. Don't want to do it. I want to do this here on WQEE and Game Plus TV. What else we got? What do you? I've been doing a lot of talking. What's on your mind through all this, Moose?
You know what? Nothing. I'm just enjoying this. It's just like I got comfy. I got my coffee. And this is one of those days, you say turn it over to the viewers and stuff where we just go back and forth and chat about different topics. Like we're literally go at the coffee shop, right? Sitting around the table, having our midday coffee and on the coffee break and talking about what everybody else wants to talk about. Hey, who do you think was the toughest enforcer in the history of the NHL? And then you get on a 30-minute convo about that. It's great.
It's what I wanted. It's what I wanted. BW in Edmonton says there's no freedom in TSN media. I don't know about that. I don't know. I've never worked for them. Rod Black yesterday, if you were watching it, and I didn't cut the clips of it, I could have, but Rod Black said some incredibly informative things yesterday. Were you watching at the time? No, you weren't because you were in your seminar. That's why Rod Black was on. He said, if people care, he goes, in Toronto, you've got media companies that own the Leafs and the Raptors. It's different in other cities where the media companies don't own the teams, or the team owns the media, however you want to say it. But he goes, in Toronto, you can be critical, but you can't rip. He goes, in Montreal, they rip away because the media has no say-so in the Montreal Canadiens or the Alouettes. Because in Toronto, I kind of got the sense that he didn't miss it. And I'll just say this. That's for the Raptors and the Leafs. To be honest, I'm kind of surprised at what Arash gets away with when he's talking about the Blue Jays. because Rogers, and I just respect Arash for that even more, because Rogers employs him and the baseball team, and he don't care. That's all right. He don't care what anybody thinks, right? I just find that quite interesting. Yeah. So there's some guys that don't dance, the company dance. Moose, I'm going to let you go. Ryan in New York State says, I remember Christophe Oliwa being an enforcer for the Albany River Rats and New Jersey Devils. Yeah, everybody's got a favorite. Moose will be back for overtime and not going anywhere. One more, Steven in North Dakota watching. He says, the CFL games were affordable to me because of the exchange rate. Yeah, it's about a 3.5-hour drive, I think, Minot to Taylor Field to watch it. I'll just say one last thing before we bring in Mighty Mouth. All these people that leave the media, and I guess I'm still in the media, but not the way that it used to be. I saw a guy working at an airline, WestJet. I was like, brah, he got let go by a radio chain. I'm like, you look 20 years younger. And he's working for WestJet. You think that ain't stressful? It's like 1/10 stressful where he was. I'm like, dude, I get it. Anyways, Mighty Mouth is next. We got him, Clark? Okay. We are live on Game Plus Television, YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. We have over 100 GMC Sierras available, and they're all priced to move. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models, GM certified pre-owned inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital GMC. CapitalGMC.ca.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Easy snacking all around. Something everyone can love.
I gotta hit the beat. I gotta hit the beat. Gotta hit the
Download Dark Horse Bets today.
beat. I gotta hit the beat.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
It is time. Thank you, Rick Regan. And just ahead of Brent Mighty Mouth, 1 second. We've really turned it over to the audience here in what we used to call viewer takeover, but we're on the radio now. So what audience takeover? Jeff the Stamps fan has written in and says, where's the NHL All-Star game this year? This is a joke, right, Clark? This is a setup? I don't know. Look at my shirt. NHL All-Star, South Florida 2023. I've only been putting it in front of your face for the last hour and a half. So now you know the rest of the story. Brent Griffiths, great guy, Mighty Mouth, launched TSN Radio Edmonton, Oilers alum. What's up, Brent? How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. Hey, listen, I've got this new game, and it's called Where in the World is Rod Pedersen? Where are you today?
Yeah. Well, wouldn't you like to know? They want to hide that, I guess. I'm in South Florida, getting ready for the NHL All-Star game next week. Yeah. No.
Didn't want to.
No, it's fine.
Oh.
No. Trust me, I don't get it, but it is what it is.
Okay.
Where are you?
I'm in my home studio basement location with my general manager, Jax, the golden retriever, sitting down to my broadcast left, making sure that I'm doing this properly today.
Well, it looks great. It looks fantastic. And I got to open with the obligatory question. Because you were in Edmonton, and the Oilers lost 3-2 to the Blue Jackets in overtime. And everybody's saying, what's wrong with the Oilers? They were writing in here. How would you answer that, my friend?
Won 7 of their last 8. Nothing's wrong. They played the worst team in the league, in my estimation. Worse than Chicago. And, often you can find yourself playing down to your opposition. But in fairness, I thought Columbus – I watched the Calgary-Columbus game very closely, and I thought Columbus was atrocious in their own end. They gave up the puck so much I couldn't believe it. And I thought to myself, if they do that in Edmonton on Wednesday, it's not even going to be close. They were able to really tighten it up dramatically. What I've started to notice here at games that I've attended the last maybe month or so, teams are coming in here ready to go. You're not going to if the Edmonton Oilers think they're going to slide by some of these teams, that's not going to happen because I'm watching these teams elevate their play when they walk into this arena. So the Edmonton Oilers' home record has been actually very disappointing so far this season, and I know why. That's because the opposition comes in here and they are ready to go.
Jennifer from the Four Seasons wants your opinion on how you feel Leon Draisaitl played last night.
It's funny, I sat in the seats last night, and I sat down probably in around row 18 or so, and I watched him very carefully. I thought it was not a typical Leon Draisaitl kind of evening. I still think he might be a little hurt, actually. He sat out a few games. I think it was probably this year's going by so fast. I think it was in November sometime. I think he's still hurting a little bit, and I think it goes back to that injury in the Battle of Alberta playoff series. But he wasn't his usual self last night where he's controlling and dominating, but he still has his moments where he's pretty fantastic. But overall last night, I didn't think he quite delivered. But he was not the only Edmonton Oiler that was a little short on energy and enthusiasm in that matchup last night. It looked to me like they thought they were going to just basically throw themselves out there on the ice and win that game for fun. And that did not happen because in the National Hockey League, these players have a lot of pride. And Columbus came in here, as I said, I thought they were horrible in Calgary, but boy, they sure ramped it up. And Korpisalo, I thought, was sensational in the 2 games in Alberta, in particular the game in Edmonton last night.
Well, isn't it a bugger when the other team tries to, Bryn? And by the way, when you and I went for when you and I went for lunch at Boston Pizza, you just had story after story after story of working for the Oilers back in the day. And I want you, if you can, in a way to relate that. This is where it's really going to get fun. Because I had a teacher friend say to me, the world's changed, society's changed, but human nature does not change. Are Oiler fans, and just fans in general, way harder on their teams now, individually and collectively? Or were they always? And I just didn't notice it as much.
You're bringing up an interesting point for me, because one of the things that I've really noticed about Oiler fan in the arena this season is there are nights where and of course, because they've struggled at home a little bit this season, I think I've noticed it a little more than normal. But what I've really noticed this time around is that in the old days, and I'll even say the old days were 5 years ago, if the team didn't play well at home, somebody would throw the obligatory jersey on the ice. We've seen it at all the NHL arenas when people are a little pissed off with what's going on. This season is the one season where there were some nights where I expected the fans to kind of turn on the team a little bit and boo them off the ice. I remember, like I said, back in the 80s and 90s, that would have been a common occurrence if the home team played poorly, like really awful. And there were about 3 or 4 times this season where I thought they were really awful at home. And the crowd basically just kind of got up out of their seats and left. And I noticed it last night in the game. It's a different game when you sit in the seats, man. I'm telling you. But I think that the fan, I don't know if it's a patience level or they just know that these guys will find a way to maybe turn it on a little bit. Maybe the panic point will be reached in another few weeks if they keep going, win a few, lose a few, win a few, lose a few. But last night would have been a classic example to kind of tell the guys as a fan how you felt about their effort. And it wasn't really good last night. As much as Jay Woodcroft says, hey, listen, we got a point out of it. The other team played great. We'll be better in the next game, which is against, oh my God, the Chicago Blackhawks, who are awful. I can hardly wait to see how the fans respond to that. But I think it's fascinating to me how the fans have reacted here in Edmonton this season to what I consider to be off games, Rod.
I love the answer, and you've spent a good share of time on the air in Calgary, too. I mean, fans are the fans wherever you go. It's obviously different in Calgary and Edmonton. They approach it a little differently, but the pressure is the same. And I'm not done on this topic. Like, it's starting to affect things, because I'm going back to Calgary here before long, doing the show from the Grey Eagle, and I'm hearing about the pressure on Daryl Sutter in the market, and the fans might be turning on him, and the media is driving it. And I'm not even saying that's wrong. But it's a lot to live with if you're the teams. That's the thing. You've seen it from the inside.
Yeah, I've seen it from the inside working for teams. I've also been on home team broadcasts. And you know, I heard you talking about Rod Black and talking about the sports media in our country and that sort of thing. I would tell you that I've had 2 opportunities where I've worked on broadcasts. I worked on the Edmonton football broadcast back in the 90s. And I enjoyed the broadcast work. I just did not enjoy being tapped on the shoulder once in a while saying, could you maybe lighten it up a little bit on the football club? That kind of. Same thing with working in Calgary. Now, the Flames were not bad. I really enjoyed working with everybody at the Flames organization, but there were times where I felt indirectly that there was a little pressure on me to be careful what I said. And I don't think I would ever, well, one, I'm getting older, so I don't ever see that opportunity coming up again. But I didn't really always enjoy working on broadcasts that were directly affiliated with a team. It was way more fun for me to be working on broadcasts where I had the ability to speak my mind, which I've always done. Right from when I worked in Moose Jaw at CHAB doing Warrior games, we were always given the thumbs up by station management to tell it the way we felt, and also to make it a little more rock and roll and make it a little more us. Not so much the team, but things have changed dramatically in the sports world these days. And I hate to be one of those guys with the gray hair who says, well, you know, back in the day, but I think it might have been easier to broadcast back in the day. I think it's harder now, Rod.
Oh, I'm really becoming one of those guys. Oh, Bryn, I'd go for hours with you, man. From Wee Mike in the audience says, I would laugh my butt off if the Oilers lose to Chicago. Can we trade somebody for Taves before the game? LOL. I'm just putting that out there in 60 seconds or less. Your take on the Tocchet hiring. Will he turn the Vancouver Canucks around?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a mess there. I think that whole Bruce Boudreau thing, the way it played out, kind of ripped the team into shreds. I would be very surprised if they're able to get it back on track. I know one thing. I think they're too far back now to make the postseason. And, it's hard to make up ground at this time of year, regardless of what kind of trades you make. I think that they might be better off now just making some major changes to try to fix that room up a little bit. Jim Rutherford, we talked about major surgery on that team, and I think he's correct. I think they've got to make some moves. They've got some players in contract situations that they're in. So I don't think it's going to make a major difference this year, but he could be, he has never made the team. He's never been a playoffs coaching a team. So we might have to see something dramatic happen in Vancouver. Is that my 60?
Yeah. And
is that my 60?
Is Rutherford the guy that should be holding the scalpel? That's another topic. But we are out of time, Bryn, other than to say, how are you doing, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm in the process. I'm putting together a new podcast. Robin Brownlee and I kind of let things roll and slip away in September because it's competitive out there in the podcast world, especially in sports. But a good friend of ours, Dave Jameson, who is a longtime public relations manager with the Edmonton Football Club here, he and I are now working on a podcast, which will be a video cast, and we are talking about our cancer struggles. Both he and I have battled cancer, and we're on the other side of it now. So we decided we're going to do a sports podcast, but we're going to talk to people in the sports business, whether it's media, players, or coaches who've battled cancer. We want to hear their cancer story, and then we want to talk about their careers. So our podcast is going to be coming up in about a month and a half, and the name, are you ready for it? Here's the name, Cancer in the Room.
How about that?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
That's going to be the name. Well, thanks. It's going to be a lot of fun. Already got our first guest lined up. Buck Martinez is going to be joining us. And I'm shocked at how many guys who've battled through cancer in the sports world. Like, it's a shocking long list. And they've all got great stories about how they've gone through it. I want it to be inspirational. Dave also agrees with me.
Yeah.
It's got to be inspirational. And we want to leave a little bit of a legacy mark on things before it becomes our time to go into battle once again. So that's the new thing for me, working at Road 55 in Edmonton.
People need to hear the good stories for sure. All right, Bryn, we got to go. Say it. Rod,
I'm out of here. Whew. See ya.
Thank you, Bryn. Appreciate it, bud. All the best. Good luck. The great mighty mouth, Bryn Griffith. We'll be right back with Overtime with the Moose. We're live on Game Plus TV, YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and WQEE 99.1 FM.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics, Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
It's time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. Great news, factory credits are back. That means massive savings on every new vehicle. Take advantage of up to $7,000 in discounts on all remaining new 2022 F-150s. And rates are as low as 1.99% OAC. Looking for a used vehicle? You gotta check out our all makes, all models inventory. Plus, don't pay for 90 days on all new and used vehicles. There's never been a better time to trade and upgrade at Capital Ford Lincoln. CapitalFordLincoln.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, we got to jump right into this. We got to get the Moose in here. It's overtime. It's brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace. Your home for the UFC, the National Football League, and the Super Bowl party. RP Show Super Bowl party. Come and join your favorite sports celebrities and us at the Four Seasons on Super Bowl Sunday. Details coming how you can. Moose, look, I don't know if we have enough time. We got all these people that have written in. I just opened the text line. It was like we need to reintroduce ourselves, both you and me, to all these new people. Terry in Lake Country, BC, not only was he up at 1:53 a.m., he's up now. And I told him that Joe Koser, we've done this poll. It's Joe Koser is what they told us. And he said, methinks we need a second opinion. Clark, we need to have a meeting, to talk about having a meeting about who we need to poll to get to the bottom of this. Who's the number one fighter? Clark goes, I love meetings about meetings. A lot of people do. I don't. Bill Moose, here's where I said we got to get you in here. Bill, he's in Cochrane, Alberta, and he's the home of George Fox and John Huffnagel. He says, Rod, I heard you use the term, whoa, Nelly. Do you remember who used to say that? Pat Brady, Roy Rogers' show, and it was what he called his Jeep. Yes, I'm aware. He called his Jeep Nellie Bell. The name of the Jeep was Nellie Bell. And do I know where it came? Roy Rogers is the king of the Cowboys. Darren, he must be a new viewer. How would he possibly think that I wouldn't know Roy Rogers and the name of the Jeep was Nellie Bell? Darren would not have watched it. His horse's name was Trigger. Yeah. Or was that the Lone Ranger? I got to Google it. I'm getting old, man.
Silver.
I think that's why.
Silver was the Lone Ranger.
Hi-yo, Silver, away! Yeah, that was Lone Ranger. Silver.
Yes.
You got that?
I know that.
Yeah. It was Trigger. Roy Rogers and Trigger, and it was a Palomino. That's why I think I have this deep, again, all of the things in our mind and our hearts come from when we're children. And I think that's why I have this love for Jeeps. Roy Rogers show, Uncle Jesse on Dukes of Hazzard. We had one on the farm when I was a kid. And I said, if I ever run across one, I'm going to buy one, just like we had when we were kids. And I did, and then I bought another one.
Yeah.
You know, I've become this big Jeep guy. So, yeah, that's kind of fun, isn't it, with these guys?
It's great. Well, there was a post on social media. It was like, name the most famous horse you can think of. And it was a sports question. People said Secretariat, whatever. But what came to mind for me and for some people was Silver or Buttercup or Mr. Ed or all these other, pop culture horses.
Seabiscuit.
Exactly.
We had a guy on the Pats. His nickname was Seabiscuit. Dougal Cameron in Calgary writes in and says yesterday's guest, Tim Hunter, was pretty damn tough in the late 80s.
How about that?
But even Tim Hunter would tell you, and maybe we need to have him in the meeting, Clark, that Nick Fotiu beat up Tim Hunter. Didn't he tell us that? I mean,
yeah.
I understand every fighter would have lost a fight at some time. Maybe I need to send a note to Grimmer and just say, Grimmer, you were one of them. Who would you think was the toughest guy ever in the NHL?
What a bracket that would be. What a bracket. And maybe it's your who's the favorite?
Yeah. Poll question today. But I'm starting to wonder, would he, if we let the audience vote on it, would we get the right answer? Because last I looked, 86% on our poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center are saying that 86% say yes, teams tank. Last minute of play in the RP show. And it's, no, they don't. No, they do not. I'm not saying it's never happened. Some teams have, but by and large, I don't think the Vancouver Canucks are tanking. I don't think the Chicago Blackhawks are tanking. I don't think the Columbus Blue Jackets are tanking. Do you?
No, I don't. I think they're in a position where they know they're not going to win. They're not necessarily trying to make the playoffs, but they're not tanking. Those players and coaches, no, they're not tanking.
Randy in Strasbourg, the home of Nick Schultz, Minnesota Wild great defenseman. He says NHL teams, owners and management might want to tank, but players sure would never tank. They're too competitive. Just to tell you, tomorrow it will be ball for all football, okay? So get ready for that as we get ready for the conference championships. NFL, CFL, XFL, USFL, whatever. Thanks to the guys today. Great show, guys. See you tomorrow.
See you guys.
Who has more fun than us?